The Flowers of Guadalupe, where ancient Aztec mythology meets divine reality. 1519, Hernan Cortes enters Mexico Tenochtitlan, population 200,000. Cortes brings one Franciscan friar with him, Fray Toribio Motolinia. Cortes finds a blood-soaked land of wars and human sacrifice. The Aztec Empire planned periodic wars against weaker kingdoms with the intention of wounding enemy warriors in order to have victims for sacrificing to the Aztec gods. These victims were not killed, but brought to the place of sacrifice alive, where their beating hearts would be extracted. The human sacrifices assured both the victims and the conquerors of worthiness to enter the flower world paradise. Hence, these wars were called flower wars. The upper class practiced polygamy to ensure the availability of many children for sacrifice. The pyramids were places of worship and sacrifice. The priests were designated to do the extraction of hearts and the offering. The ritual included the eating of a piece of the heart by the priests. Skull towers and racks have recently been excavated, revealing the extent to which the practice of human sacrifice existed from ancient times. The ancient Aztec mythology was based on the relationship of the people with the elements of nature. Their principal food was maize, and their survival depended on a good harvest. And so the god of rain, also the god of agriculture and rituals, had to be offered many human sacrifices in order to make it rain. The sun god was also crucial for a good harvest, so sacrifice was also necessary to make it shine. There were many lesser gods in the pantheon of Aztec gods that figured in the human journey to the afterlife. But their supreme god, the creator god, was the feathered serpent. He was the only god who did not require human sacrifice. Another name for the creator god was the god of far and near, Intloque Huanaque. He was Quetzalcoatl. Songs and dances were another offering that the Aztecs made to their gods. Elaborate costumes and musical instruments were used to give pleasure to and placate the gods. Song poems were used as catechetical tools for the preservation of the culture, especially its spiritual dimension. Principles like truth and beauty, life after death, heaven, and the worthiness to enter there, and the supreme god who determined worthiness were the subjects of the songs. The Aztec heaven was called the flower world paradise. Between 1558 and 1561, the Franciscan priest, Fray Bernardino de Sahagún, and his indigenous students, who were fluent in both Nahuatl and Spanish, collected around 90 song poems, which they had transcribed directly from the indigenous elders' lips. These song poems belong to the genre called flower and song. Among these was the song poem entitled Cuica Pewayot, Cuica means song. Pewa means to begin. This song is believed to be the mother's song for the rest of the songs in the collection. It is metaphorical and symbolic rather than philosophical or historical. It narrates the ancient Mesoamerican longing to live with its creator in paradise for eternity. The main theme of this song is the desire to pick the flowers representing truth and beauty and bring them down from the flower world paradise to the people. The singer ponders in his heart where to gather the four-petaled, holy, fragrant flowers of truth that he would bring to his companions to alleviate their sorrow and make them happy. He wanders through a beautiful forest, thinking how to fill his tilma with the flowers. He hears the beautiful flower song twittered by many birds. The mountains echo the music. Whom to ask? The golden hummingbird, the jade hummingbird, or the butterfly? A golden hummingbird comes and leads him up inside the mountain of the flower world paradise. It tweets, "Cut many flowers, whichever ones you will want. Be happy." In the mountain, the singer gathers the flowers in his tilma and wishes that many of his people would enter here. Here, they would rejoice with the flowers and songs. Here, they could gather flowers and songs to bring back to earth for the eagle and jaguar princess to honor their grandeur and dignity. And then the thought of his unworthiness hits him. He realizes he is nothing, afflicted, and who sins on earth. He realizes he has just been dreaming. And he weeps. He knows there is another life in the hereafter. He wants to go there, but he is not worthy. Only the God of far and near makes one worthy to enter flower world paradise. In 1522, Pope Adrian VI issued the papal bull Expone Nobis Fecisti, authorizing religious orders to evangelize the New World. In 1523, 3 Franciscan friars arrived, with an additional 12 arriving later. In 1528, Fray Juan de Zumárraga arrives to become the first bishop of Mexico. In attempting to convert the Mexicans, the friars used Nahuatl terms that they thought might be equivalent to the Christian concepts of the one supreme God, life after death, truth and beauty, and worthiness to enter heaven. However, the Nahuatl language and culture were highly metaphoric and symbolic. So the Nahuatl terms that the Spanish chose as close equivalents to their Spanish counterparts conveyed a different meaning to the Mexicans' understanding of spiritual truths, resulting in massive confusion and the rejection of what they interpreted as a new and therefore unreliable religion. The dialogues between the missionaries and Aztecs were recorded by Fray Sahagún in Coloquios y Doctrina Cristiana. Authority on Divine Truths. We are 12. The one who sent us, he is the great ruler in the divine things of the earth. There he is in the heart of the big city, which is named Rome. And he gave us our authority. Authority resides in our priests and rulers who preserve our ancient cultural and religious heritage. Our main high priest is Quetzalcoatl. Heaven, Ilhuica. God established the kingdom of heaven, Ilhuica, and gave authority to the Catholic Church to determine who can enter this kingdom. Baptism is the key to heaven. Ilhuica refers to an otherworldly place that is devoid of beauty and truth, a colorless and silent place. Inzokitlalpan, Intonakatlalpan is the flower world paradise, the heaven of our ancestors, a vibrant place full of music, flowers, birds, butterflies, all iridescently beautiful. The one true God, Nelie Theot. Jesus Christ is the one true God, Nelie Theot, who made heaven and earth, the giver of life, the liberator of the people. We know the God of far and near, in Tloque Nahuaque. Teot is the spirit that rules over all things, including all our other gods. He is the unifying force of the universe. Nelie refers to rootedness as well as truth, that which has been taught and believed from ancient times. Any new teaching, Yanhui, is unreliable. Truth and beauty. Truth and beauty are a person, Jesus Christ, the God-made man who came down from heaven. Truth and beauty are the sacred flowers that a worthy person gathers in the flower world paradise and brings down to earth. Being worthy, atonement for sin. Heaven was closed to humans when Adam and Eve sinned. Jesus Christ opened heaven by offering his life in a bloody sacrifice. He established the Catholic Church and instituted the sacraments of baptism and penance. Regardless of status, a person can be worthy to enter heaven by being baptized. Human beings are nothing, worthless, afflicted, and who sin on earth. Only the God of far and near can make one worthy to enter the flower world paradise. One can atone for sin only through human sacrifice and flower dances and song. Only priests and lords and people who die in battle or childbirth or are sacrificed are worthy to enter the flower world paradise. Resistance to baptism was the result of the cultural disconnect. After 5 years of evangelical effort by the missionaries, From 1524 to 1529, only a few Mexican lords with their followers had consented to be baptized. In August of 1529, Bishop Zumaraga wrote to the Emperor Charles V, "If God does not intervene to provide an instant remedy, this land is on the verge of being lost forever." 1531. God intervened and provided the instant remedy. Two of the first few adult baptisms in 1524 were those of Juan Diego and his wife Maria Lucia. Juan Diego was a masawal, a common man who was not eligible to enter the flower world paradise, according to Nawa belief. Juan Diego was well versed in the flower song traditions because young boys were expected to memorize the sacred histories and songs of their people. The native name of Juan Diego was Cuautla, one who speaks like an eagle. Juan Diego's story is recounted in Nican Mopohua, written by Luis Lasso de la Vega in 1649 in the original Nahuatl language. It is considered the definitive version for studying the Guadalupe event. At that time, the year 1531, a few days into the month of December, it happened that there was a humble but respected Indian, a poor man of the people. His name was Juan Diego. He lived in Cuautitlan, as they say. It was Saturday, not yet dawn. He was coming in pursuit of God and his commandments. And as he drew near the little hill called Tepeyac, it was beginning to dawn. He heard singing on the little hill, like the song of many precious birds. When their voices would stop, it was as if the hill were answering them, extremely soft and delightful. Juan Diego stopped and wondered, by any chance, am I worthy of what I hear? Perhaps I'm only dreaming it. Perhaps I'm only dozing. Where am I? Where do I find myself? Is it possible I am in the place our ancient ancestors, our grandparents told about? In the land of the flowers? In the land of corn, of our flesh, of our sustenance? Possibly in the land of heaven? And then, when the singing suddenly stopped, when it could no longer be heard, he heard someone calling him. Someone was saying to him, "Juan, dearest Juan Diego." I am the perfect ever Virgin Holy Mary, Mother of the one great God of truth, who gives us life, the inventor and creator of people, the owner and Lord of what is around us and what is touching us, the owner and Lord of the sky, the owner of the earth. I want very much that they build my sacred little house here, in which I will show him, I will exalt him, I will give him to the people in all my personal love, in my compassionate gaze, in my help, in my salvation. I am truly your compassionate mother. Go to the residence of the Bishop of Mexico, and you will tell him how I am sending you, that I very much want him to build me a house here, to erect my temple for me on the plain. My dear mistress, Lady Queen, my youngest child, my dear beloved maiden, I did go where you sent me. He received me kindly, and he listened to it perfectly. But from the way he answered me, he doesn't think it's true. I beg you, my lady, queen, my beloved maiden, to have one of the nobles, one who is known, respected, honored. Carry your dear breath, your dear word, so that he will be believed. I am really just a man from the country, a rope, a back frame, a tail, a wing, a man of no importance. I myself need to be led, carried on someone's back. Listen, my youngest and dearest son, I know for sure that I have no lack of servants, of messengers, to whom I can give the task of carrying my breath, my word. I beg you, my youngest and dearest son, I order you strictly to go again tomorrow to see the bishop. Carefully tell him again how I personally, the ever Virgin Holy Mary, I, who am the Mother of God, am sending you. The governing bishop asked him many, many things, pursued many, many questions with him to make certain of where he had seen her. And he marveled that it appeared with absolute clarity that she was the perfect virgin, the kind and wondrous mother of our Savior, our Lord Jesus Christ. Nevertheless, Juan Diego still was not believed. Some other sign would be necessary if the bishop were to believe how the Queen of Heaven in person was sending Juan Diego. As soon as Juan Diego heard that, he said to the bishop, Senor Governor, think about what the sign you ask for will be, because then I will go to ask for it of the Queen of Heaven who sent me. That's fine, my dear son. You will be back here tomorrow, so that you may take the bishop the sign he has asked you for. With this, he will believe you, and he will no longer have any doubts about all this, and he will no longer be suspicious of you. And know, my dear son, that I will reward your care and the work and fatigue that you have put into this for me. So go now. I will be waiting here for you tomorrow. And on the following day, Monday, when Juan Diego was to take some sign to be believed, he did not return. Because when he arrived at his house, the sickness had struck his uncle, Juan Bernardino, and he was very ill. He went to the native healer, but it was too late. He was very ill. When night came, his uncle begged him to come shortly after midnight, while it was still dark, to call to Tlatelolco for some priest to go to confess him, to go to get him ready, because he was sure that the time and place had come for him to die, because he would no longer get up, he would no longer get well. And on Tuesday, while it was still night, Juan Diego left his house to come to Tinolfo to get the priest. He thought, I don't want this lady to see me because for sure she will stop me so I can take the sign to the church governor for her, as she ordered me to. First, I must quickly call the priest. My uncle is anxiously waiting for him. He thinks that when he made the turn, the one who is looking everywhere perfectly won't be able to see him. The lady came to meet him beside the hill. She came to block his way. She asked where he was going. Listen, put it in your heart, my youngest and dearest son, that the thing that frightened you is nothing. Do not fear this sickness or any other sickness or any sharp or hurtful thing. Am I not here, I who am your mother? Are you not under my shadow and protection? Are you not in the hollow of my mantle, in the crossing of my arms? Do not let your uncle's illness pressure you with grief, because he will not die of it now. You may be certain that he is already well. Go up, my dearest son, to the top of the hill. There you will see different kinds of flowers. Cut them, gather them, put them all together, then come down here. Bring them here into my presence. Juan Diego climbed to the top of the hill right away, and when he reached the top, he was astonished by all of them. Blooming open flowers of every kind, lovely and beautiful, when it still was not their season, because really, that was the season in which the frost was very harsh. Then he began to cut them. He gathered them all. He put them in the hollow of his tilma. The top of the little hill was certainly not a place in which any flowers grew. There are only plenty of rocks, thorns, spines, prickly pears, and mesquite trees. It was then the month of December, in which the frost eats everything up and destroys it. And immediately he came back down. He came to bring the heavenly maiden the different kinds of flowers which he had gone up to cut. And when she saw them, she took them with her precious hands. Then she put them all together into the hollow of his tilma. And she said, My youngest and dearest son, these different kinds of flowers are the proof, the sign that you will take to the bishop. I strictly order you that you only open your tilma alone in the presence of the bishop and show him what you are carrying. When he arrived at the bishop's residence, the doorkeeper and the other servants of the governing priest went to meet him. And when Juan Diego had come in, he prostrated himself in the bishop's presence, as he had done before. He said to him, Your Excellency, sir, I have done it. I have carried out your orders. That is, I went to tell my mistress, the Queen of Heaven, Holy Mary, the beloved Mother of God, that you were asking for proof so you could believe me. Here they are. Please receive them. And then he held out his white tilma, in the hollow of which he placed the flowers. And just as all the different Castilian roses fell out upon the floor, then and there, the beloved image of the perfect Virgin, Holy Mary, Mother of God, became the sign. As soon as the governing bishop and all those who were there saw it, they knelt. They were full of awe and reverence. And when he got up, he untied Juan Diego's garment, his tilma from his neck, where it was tied, and on which the Queen of Heaven appeared, on which she became the sign. And then he took it and placed it in his private chapel. And Juan Diego still stayed for the day in the bishop's house. He still kept him there. And on the next day, he said to him, "Come, let's go, so you can show where it is that the Queen of Heaven wants her chapel built." The tilma had a seam connecting two pieces of maguey cloth, bypassing the important elements of the image that were significant to the Aztecs. Bridges of understanding. Her hair is parted in the middle, denoting she is a virgin. She is a mestiza, half Aztec, half Spanish. The virgin was pregnant, denoted by the sash that the Aztec women wore when they were pregnant. Directly below the pregnancy sash was a four-petaled flower, symbolizing the Nahua axis MUNDI. Golden flowers and leaves are embroidered on the pink lace, loosely overlaying the inner robe. The mantle was in turquoise, the color of Aztec royalty. The flower. As farming improved, areas were sectioned off into squares, each side of the square pointing to a cardinal direction of east, west, north, and south. The flower. The four-petaled flower represents the universe and the human relationship with it. The four cardinal directions of east, west, north, and south, and the center point that ascends to heaven and descends to hell. This is the basis of truth in the Aztec mythology. The Aztec pyramids were built according to this concept. This is where heaven meets earth. The four-petaled flower is directly below the pregnancy sash, indicating that the Virgin Mary is carrying the God of the universe, the God of far and near. She is therefore the mother of the one supreme God. There is only one four-petaled flower in the entire image on the tilma. Heaven. The flower world paradise in Xochitlapan in Tonacat, Lalpan, is the heaven of our ancestors, a vibrant place full of music, flowers, birds, butterflies, all iridescently beautiful. Juan Diego experienced being in the flower world paradise on December 9, 1531. He was surprised that he was worthy to enter paradise despite being of low social status. The mountain. One enters the flower world paradise in or on a mountain. Pyramids were sacred mountains. Juan Diego enters the flower world paradise on the mountain of Tepeyac. Mother. The goddess Tonantzin Tlalit, our earthly mother, had a temple on Tepeyac where the Aztecs offered sacrifice. The Virgin of Guadalupe, Mother of God, Dios Inanzin, asked that the temple be built on Tepeyac to honor the one supreme God. The sun and moon gods. In Aztec mythology, the sun god was called Huitzilopochtli, which means blue hummingbird on the left. It was believed he was accompanied by fallen warriors whose spirits would come back to earth as hummingbirds. Huitzilopochtli was also the god of war and sacrifice. He was the most feared and powerful god. The Aztecs believed that the world had gone through 5 stages, and each one had a sun. They believed that they lived under the 5th and final sun. Once the sun died, planet Earth and every living creature would die too. To prevent this, sacrifices had to be offered. The moon goddess is called Coyolxauhqui. She was a magnificent female warrior who met her brother for battle and was defeated and beheaded. This stone artifact depicts Coyolxauhqui with her head, arms, and legs dismembered. The largest pyramid can be found in Teotihuacan, dedicated to the sun god. The pyramid to the moon goddess is smaller and stands a distance from the first. At the end of the Avenue of the Dead stands the Temple of the Feathered Serpent. The image on the tilma of Juan Diego presents a woman in queenly garments standing on a crescent moon with the sun behind her. The Aztecs interpreted this to mean that this woman was more powerful than their sun and moon deities, and therefore had to be more revered, especially since she was pregnant with the supreme God, the God of far and near. The book of Revelation mentions a woman clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet. The Temple of the Feathered Serpent. Quetzalcoatl, from Nahuatl, Quetzali, tail feather of the Quetzal bird, and Coatl, snake. The feathered serpent was the Aztecs' supreme god who did not require human sacrifice, but it could not love because it had no heart. A feathered figure carries the woman who is pregnant with the supreme God who has dominion over all creation. This implies that the feathered serpent is the servant of the supreme God who became man, the Son of Mary, Jesus Christ, who offers his heart to all. Human sacrifice. Human hearts that were still beating were offered in sacrifice to atone for sins and to placate the gods. Jesus Christ, the God who came from far, heaven, to be near us, earth, the God of far and near, took our place and atoned for our sins by dying on the cross to make us worthy to enter heaven. His heart was pierced with a lance, and blood and water came out. Water is used in baptism. The cross on the brooch represents the God who made us worthy. Juan Diego told his story to all who would listen. Because of his baptism, he was made worthy of entering the flower world paradise and gathering the sacred flowers of truth and beauty on Tepeyac to present to the princess, the bishop, on earth. This was significant for the Aztecs. His story became a song poem composed by the authorities, Tlamatinime, taught in music schools and sung by the flower song minstrels throughout Mesoamerica. This resulted in the conversion and transformation of the Aztec populace. 9 to 10 million baptisms occurred in 10 years. Fray Toribio Motolinia has this to say: "The people who came were so many that if I had not seen it with my own eyes, I should not dare mention it. In truth, it was an enormous multitude that came, for besides the sound, there were many lame and crippled, women with children on their backs and old men, white-haired and of great age, and they came from a distance of a 2 or 3 days' journey to be baptized." After the Guadalupe event, human sacrifice and polygamy abruptly ceased. Mexico honors Our Lady of Guadalupe and her Son, Jesus Christ. The music of the stars on the tilma. The concept of preparatio evangelica, as developed in the book Guadalupe and the Flower World Prophecy, has been adapted in this video. Thank you, Joseph Julian and Monique Gonzalez, for the inspiration. Any errors in the adaptation of said concepts are entirely mine. Ad Maiorem Dei Gloriam.